Tac Chec is our most popular game. It's the fastest, easiest way to learn chess. We designed it with a zip-up bag, and this makes it very easy to store and take with you on vacations. The instructions are now in 14 languages. It is sold in Europe and the US in many stores. There are 4 primary pieces on a chessboard. The movement of these is very easy. The first piece would be the bishop. Think of it as a Catholic bishop. C for Catholic, C for color. The piece stays on the same color that it starts on. So on a regular chessboard there's 2 of them. One starts on white and one starts on black squares. If the piece is in the corner, it could move as many squares as it likes in a diagonal motion, staying in the same color, as long as there's no pieces in the way. It would capture on the diagonal. So if there's a black piece on the board, it could capture that, as long as it does not jump over another piece. The next piece on the chessboard is the pawn. The pawn is, in Spanish and a number of other languages, it is called a peon. Peons we think of as peasants. They were always the foot soldiers, and so the piece moves like a foot soldier. The word pawn being a Sanskrit word, Indian language word, meaning foot soldier. We could place the piece anywhere on this board, unlike regular chess. The piece would move 1 foot ahead at a time, per turn. So, they are the only piece on the board that capture in a slightly different way to the way they move. If a piece, such as a knight or horse, is on a diagonal square from that pawn, the pawn would move diagonally to capture the piece. In this game, the player would get their piece back. You never lose pieces, so you don't get discouraged. In our game, when you get to the other side of the board, or you start on the other side of the board, you may bring your piece back again towards your side. You do have to reach the other side before you can come back. In regular chess, when your pawn reaches the other side, it is promoted. It can become a queen, or any other piece for that matter, besides a king. The next piece that we have on a chessboard is the horse, or often called the knight. It moves like a drunk horse. If it's on this square, it always moves in an L shape. Think of it as jumping over the fence, and being a bit tipsy, he staggers to one side. So they move in L shapes. So in other words, from here, it could move to there, it could move to there, or it could move to there. Notice it could only go to 3 positions from that spot. If the piece is placed in the middle, one of the middle 4 squares, it actually could reach 4 different positions. 1, 2, up 2, 1 across, 3, up 2, 1 across, 4 positions. This is a basic principle of regular chess. Try and dominate the center of a chessboard. There's a tremendous strategic advantage to this, as you've just seen. You can reach more squares from the center than you can from the side. If this piece was only placed in the corner, it could only reach 2 potential positions, up 2, 1 over, or up 2, 1 over. So there you could go to 2, there you could go to 3, and there you could reach 4 spaces. Obviously, reaching 4 spaces gives you potentially a strategic advantage. The last piece on a chessboard is the rook. The word rook, or castle you might think of it, the word rook is actually also Sanskrit, and it means chariot. The piece always moves horizontally, alternating to black and white squares, horizontally or vertically. The piece captures the same as it moves, as does every piece except the pawn. So this piece could capture this piece as long as there's no other piece in the way. It could capture this one, but it could not on the first turn capture the bishop. It would have to first capture this piece, return the piece to the player, and on the next turn he could capture the bishop. Tic Tac Chec is a very easy game to play. The object of the game, similar to tic-tac-toe, is to get 4 pieces in a row. This could be diagonally, such as this, or on a black squares, or vertically, or horizontally on any row of squares. And to do this before your opponent does, the game starts with no pieces on the board, which makes it a lot quicker to learn to play than regular chess, where you do have to put pieces on the board. On your first turn, white always starts, as in regular chess, you would place a piece on the board. On your first 3 turns, players can only place pieces on the board. They cannot move or capture. The reason for this is to get people to think about position. Position, as in regular chess, is everything. Position such as dominating the center of the chessboard, because it gives you a lot more options. In this case, I'd place another piece on the board. It looks like I'm trying to make a row this way, and this player could place a piece over here, which looks like he's making a row this way. I could place another piece on the board. Obviously my opponent cannot capture any of my pieces. It's very apparent that I'm about to make a row this way, so my opponent would have to block me. In this case, I would put my pawn on here to capture him on the diagonal. But since he now has 3 pieces on the board, it's actually very easy for him to do one or two things. He could capture this piece, and I would it would be returned back to me. Or, better yet, he could just move the piece out of the way. And the advantage of that position is that my piece can no longer capture him. In fact, it can no longer move, period. So, I will have to try another plan. I could consider making a row this way, since I cannot make one this way anymore, since I cannot move the pawn. And I really have no choice. I cannot do a row on a diagonal because the pawn is not on the white square. So the only option I have left to me is to either move my bishop out the way and another turn move this piece forward to make a diagonal this way, or, quicker yet, I could just capture the piece. I would give the piece back to my opponent, and it would be their turn. The game looks like it could go around in circles, and sometimes it does if you do not play to win. You cannot play defensively by just capturing your opponent all the time. Another tip to playing the game well is to not fixate on making a row in the same place all the time. Change your row. Make your opponent look like you're going think you're going one way when you're actually going in another direction. And also avoid putting your pawn on the board as long as possible. As you can see in this position, my pawn is on the board, and I'm very restricted now to making a row in one direction. It's very easy for my opponent to see this and to counter it while easily outmaneuvering me into a better position. Although I dominate the center of the board, the pawn has effectively neutralized any attack I can create. So overall, it's a very simple game, but has considerable amount of strategy and possibilities. So try it out, and I wish you all the best.